The process of creating hydrogen only requires that you spark the hydrogen in the very beginning to do the electrolysis process. The hydrogen itself will create enough electricity so that we don't have to go and bring in outside sources of electricity via solar panel or wind. So the hydrogen itself will generate enough electricity that the hydrogen will need in order to create more hydrogen.
Oh, wow. So hydrogen is nuclear, right? Hydrogen is nuclear.
Yeah, okay. If you take hydrogen and put a radioactive element to it, that's how you get the bomb. But the hydrogen itself, the molecule, you can burn that, and that's going to emit enough energy that it's going to be much more beneficial than if you're using solar.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Medallion XLN Podcast. I'm here with Juan Lacey, CEO of Farms Close By. And today we're going to be talking about the farming industry and the many technological opportunities available to us. Juan, introduce yourself. Let us know what you're all about.
Yeah, Dwayne, thanks. My name is Juan Lacey. I'm CEO of a company called Farms Close By. We're a company that is aiming to eliminate the problems that you find within food deserts across the country by being able to provide local grown food to people who heretofore haven't had access to it, either because they are so far away from grocery stores that they have no close access to it, or the ability to get there has been reduced because their neighborhood is economically poor and don't have access to public transit.
So I like to define terms. So when you say a food desert, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm. The classical definition of a food desert is a neighborhood where you live in the neighborhood and you have to go 2 miles or more to be able to get to a grocery store.
And is that a prevalent problem in the United States?
Yeah, it's a problem that's become more severe due to the pandemic. Because if you could imagine, if you were in a neighborhood where you had a grocery store that was struggling, during the pandemic, it just got a worse condition. So those people found themselves losing the grocery store that they were dependent on, that itself was struggling to stay open. And then when the pandemic hit, things closed down. The supply chains had problems being able to bring things in, found themselves having problems. Yeah, the local grocery stores around the country have been really hit hard because of the economic effects of the pandemic. So what we see now is that grocery stores are fewer and between. We see neighborhoods that, because of death that has occurred in those neighborhoods, the client base for the grocery stores have shrunk also. So it's been a lose-lose situation for them.
So how does your company solve those issues?
Good question. First, we look at it from a point of view that the grocery store itself has to come in and match up to the size of the community. typically when a grocery store goes in, it's of a size that's about 100,000 feet in size, square feet. We look to go in and we're looking at a size that starts out at 10,000 square feet and move upward. That way we can tailor ourselves to the size and need of the community. But we're doing something strategically different beyond that. We're bringing in food that the community wants. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about foods that, from an ethnic standpoint, and we're not just talking about African American, we're talking about all type of ethnicities. People want food that they are used to buying and consuming. And usually grocery stores will buy generic things because they have to satisfy the entire chain. We can tailor that on a store-by-store basis and bring in things that people want and desire.
Yeah, so you are bringing in food to local grocery stores that the community actually wants to eat, which I can see a strategic value to that. But how? How do you know what exactly the community wants? And also how do you deliver those goods?
First of all, we're working under the model of a hub and spoke. It's not that complex. It looks like a wheel on the side of your car. The center of the wheel is an operation that's large. We're going to be growing massive amounts of food there. They're going to be suited for that particular region. The spokes are going to be franchise units that people will purchase through us. On the front end will be a grocery store. On the back side will be a micro farm. We work with wellness community professionals in those neighborhoods to find out what it is that they need, and then work with the community in the form of polling them to find out what it is they want. We marry that together, and we find that people will then have a desire to purchase from us the things that they themselves want.
Mm. And how is this? How does this transaction occur? Is it done through an app or a website? What interface are you using?
We're using all the above. We're going to use an app that is tailored for farms that we have access to. That way we can home delivery. People can then come into the grocery store as a conventional grocery store. Can come in with your shopping cart, purchase what you want, and leave with it. We'll do home delivery, and we'll deliver people the food that they want on a timely manner.
So, how do you make this possible? Like, do you own a farm with goats and sheeps, and do you have like someone just out in the farm planting these things? And how many acres of farmland do you have?
We are going to place ourselves in 52 locations around the country. Each of those locations will be hub operations. Those hubs will be in the neighborhood of 30 to 50 acres, close to local downtown areas. The satellite farms will be embedded into communities themselves, just like any other grocery store would be. And they'll be within what I like to say, gas station distance from the front door. So if you can imagine a local gas station where you would go to have your car repaired, that would be the local grocery store, the local micro farm.
Okay. So that's a good answer, but I'm not sure if I got the answer I was looking for. Or do you have like a farmland that you're growing this food? Like, how are you able to grow this food?
Okay, we're going to be growing the food in a combination of vertical farm and greenhouse structures so that we can actually have it grown all year long. That's the answer you're looking for. And we're not, because of the fact that we're going to be growing indoors and we're going to be using greenhouses, we don't need to have hundreds and hundreds of acres committed to this in each location.
So what's the strategic advantage of using vertical farms?
Good question. First, we're going to be able to lower the price point that people have to pay for food because we're going to combine the farming technology with cutting edge energy generation by using hydrogen as our energy source. We will not be on the grid. Because we're generating our own electricity, we can actually lower the cost of operation and make it that much more affordable for communities so that they can acquire the type of food that they've always wanted, but had to heretofore pay much more for it.
So you said you're using hydrogen to generate energy. Like, how does that process work?
Well, there's a process called electrolysis. We're going to bring technology in from Europe. It will allow us to actually be able to generate hydrogen on location with a little bit of electricity. The franchise unit will also be able to use the hydrogen themselves. We're going to have hydrogen-driven cars, which you now see becoming more prevalent in states like now California and Massachusetts. That will allow us to be a very low price point for food when people buy our product on a continuous basis.
Very, very interesting. And what's your customer base like currently?
Our customer base, well, first of all, we're looking at about 23 million people across the country who live in food deserts. Our customer base is absolutely as diverse as you can imagine.